Mohon maaf, Bu.
Ya, mungkin sulit dipahami sehingga.
Ya.
Mr. Angelito.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. You can talk about your experience when your place maybe there is typhoon.
Yes, ma'am.
How about the level 1 till 5? What different?
Yeah.
This is important for us because and how about the prepare about it?
Halo Bu Wiwin.
Selamat pagi Buki. Bisa disapa itu Mr. Angelito-nya ada di sana.
Hai Mr. Angelito. I am Sri Mugianti.
Morning, ma'am.
Yeah. I am Sri Mugianti. How are you today?
It's okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
Bisa dimulai, nggak harus menunggu lengkap, sudah 127. Silahkan MC-nya. Mungkin sudah ada.
We start now.
Yes, start, please.
Now.
Yes, now you can start, please.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The Honorable Head of Military Nursing Diploma 3 Study Program, Ms. Dr. Sri Mugyati, NSCUP, Nurse MCUP. The Honorable, our speaker this morning, Mr. Dr. Angelito Alvarado. The Honorable Lecturer and Fellow Academia of Military Nursing Diploma 3 Study Program, and all my loving audience. First of all, let us praise the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His blessing, we are able to come here to join online seminar of Military Nursing Diploma 3 Study Program. Secondly, may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad SAW, who has guided us into the right way of life. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dewi Kavya Arna as the MC today on 27th of November 2020 at online seminar of Military Nursing Diploma 3 Study Program with the title Disaster Risk Reduction and Management. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate and thanks to all of you taking time off to join this program. Participants and share together in improving our nursing college. So, we hope this program will give an adventure for us in the future to be the next nursing leader. Well, in this special morning, we have several agenda. So, I ask a master of ceremony today, I would like to read and all the agenda of as we follow. The first agenda is opening. The second is listening national anthem Indonesia Raya and March PMI. The third is speech delivered by the chair of this program. The fourth is welcome speech delivered by Ms. Dr. Sri Mugyati, SCUP, Nurse MCUP. Speaker resume, reading continue with a material developed by our speaker, Mr. Dr. Angelito Alvarado. The next is praying. The last agenda are document. Continue with the closing. Well, to take advantage of this quality time, let us open this program with basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let us listen the national anthem Indonesia Raya and March PMI. So, for the audience, please sit up straight.
leluhur, nusa dan bangsa, wujud nyata mengayom Pancasila. Gerak juangnya ke seluruh nusa, mendarmakan bakti bagi ampera. Tunaikan tugas suci, tujuan BNI di Persada Bunda Pertiwi. Untuk umat manusia di seluruh dunia, BNI mengantarkan jasa. Alam merah Indonesia, sumber kasih umat manusia. Barisan luhur, nusa dan bangsa, wujud nyata mengayom Pancasila. Gerak juangnya ke seluruh nusa, mendarmakan bakti bagi ampera. Tunaikan tugas suci, tujuan BNI di Persada Bunda Pertiwi. Untuk umat manusia di seluruh dunia, BNI mengantarkan jasa.
Sudah terdengar suaranya?
Okay, the next agenda is speech from our chair of this program. So, Dava Aryansyah, time is yours.
Halo, suaranya terdengar?
Loudly, please. Dava.
Hello, Dava.
Halo, tes.
Can you listen my voice?
Oke. Oke, I will start. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is for all of us, what we respect, Head of Blitar Nursing Study Program, Miss Dr. Sri Mugianti, what we respect, ladies and gentlemen, speaker and the academic community of Blitar Nursing Study Program.
Kok enggak terdengar ya?
What we respect, Mr. Dr. Angelito E. Alvarado, as a speaker this morning.
Morning, sir.
As well as to all the webinar participants. First of all, let us say praise to God who give thousands of people to us on this day, so that we can gather at the webinar KSR, Blitar Nursing Study Program, Malang State Health Polytechnic, with the theme Disaster Risk Reduction and Management on November 28, 2020, in a healthy state. I'm Dava Aryansyah, as a representative of the committee. I would like to welcome and thank the audience for coming to the webinar this morning. I also thank all the committee and the college who have helped in organizing this event. My goal in organizing this event is number one, realizing the mission of Malang State Health Polytechnic Nursing Study Program in Blitar, especially in the field of emergency and disaster nursing according to the National Higher Education Standard and the Indonesian National Qualification Framework based on Pancasila, supported by Information Technology and Quality Assurance System. And number two, student and speaker of Malang State Health Polytechnic get basic knowledge about disaster risk reduction and management. Let us follow this event well so that it can run smoothly and we can get the benefit. Finally, if there are any shortcoming in organizing this event, I apologize. Welcome to join this event and may be useful. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for the speech. Before we begin our main agenda, we are pleased to have Ms. Dr. Sri Mugianti as first anchor to deliver opening speech. Mr. Dr. Sri Mugianti, time is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, MC. Good morning, everyone. Honorable the speaker of webinar today, Mr. Angelito from Philippines.
Good morning, ma'am.
Honorable to all lecturer and staff of State Health Polytechnic of Malang. Also to all my students whom I love. I am very happy and grateful for this webinar today with theme disaster risk reduction and management. This is the vision of our campus is to excel in emergency nursing and disaster management. So this webinar strongly support the vision of our campus. Blitar, our area, is a disaster-prone area. We live near Mount Volcano Cloud, which the last eruption was in 2014. Flood, tsunamis, and earthquake. There are 4 districts here which in disaster-prone area. That's why our campus has a vision of excellence in disaster management. It is hope that our graduates will have more skill regarding disaster nursing. And then I want to say thank you to Mr. Angelito for your time to share your knowledge and experience with us. It is such an honor for us. We are welcome you to come and visit Blitar someday when the COVID pandemic is over. Yeah. I hope your campus can work together in Isabella University regarding with disaster management. Isabella University or Red Cross Philippine, yeah, for memorandum of understanding. Yeah. And last but not least, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, this event is start. Well, thank you for your attention. Good morning and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the speech, Miss. The announcement for participants and the attendance form has been available in room chat, Zoom, or YouTube. So the participants, please fill the form. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is reading speaker resume continue with our main agenda, the online seminar of Little Nursing Diploma 3 study program with the title Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, delivered by Mr. Dr. Angelito E. Alvarado. For this agenda, I hope the audience will take notice from this beginning of the material to the end. And this session, moderated by Mr. Andi Hayun Abidin, STT MSc. So, to Mr. Andi as the moderator, I invite you to take over this session.
Well, thank you, Dewi, as MC in this webinar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I am Andi, and on behalf of Diploma 3 Blitar Nursing Department, I would like to welcome you in the webinar KSR with an interesting topic about disasters risk reduction and management. As we know, this topic related with our school vision, that is, become a vocational nursing study program that has character and excellence in emergency and disaster nursing. Before we begin, I would like to share with you the rules of this webinar. Wait a minute, please. Yes, this is our house rules. The first one, webinar KSR is recording the whole webinar session. By attending this event, you acknowledge that your image and comment may be recorded. The second, please type your question in the Zoom group chat, or you can ask directly in discussion session. For the next, I would like to welcome our speaker today, Dr. Angelito from Isabela State University, Philippines. How are you today, Dr. Angelito?
Hi, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, I hope you are always doing great and healthy. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. Before that, I would like to read the detailed personal information of Dr. Angelito. Let me share with you the curriculum vitae of Dr. Angelito. Wait a minute, please. Yes, this is the detailed personal information of the Dr. Angelito. His complete name is Dr. Angelito E. Alvarado. For education, Master of Science in Nursing in 2007, Master of Arts in Education in 2012, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Management in 2015, and currently Dr. Angelito on dissertation writing in Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing Science at St. Paul University, Philippines. Besides that, Dr. Angelito is Research Coordinator in Isabela State University, Philippines. And so many research that have published. One of them is challenges facing the nursing education in the new normal, basis for faculty intervention. The Dr. Angelito, also editor in Proceedings of Health Science, in Health Nations Journal for Publication, also current Journal of Applied Science and Technology, and the last International Journal of Translation, Medical Research and Public Health. Dr. Angelito also as part of Philippine Association of Researchers and Statistical Software Users, also International Association of Research Ethics Cross Disciplines. Well, I think that's all the curriculum vitae of Dr. Angelito. So please welcome Dr. Angelito. Time is yours. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let me share to you my screen for a while. Okay, can you see now my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it's a rainy morning here in the Philippines, specifically in the Cagayan Valley, where St. Paul University is located. I guess Ma'am Wiwin is familiar with this place because she graduated or finished her PhD in nursing science St. Paul University. So again, good morning. I'm going to share to you a little talk about disaster risk reduction management. Just like Ma'am Wiwin mentioned to me when she gave me the invitation. So first is disaster risk reduction management. But before that, what comes into your mind? Can you please join me to or interact with me? Okay, using the link as you can see above. Can you see the passcode? Go to www.menti.com and use the code 99 9984018. Okay. Okay. What comes into your mind when you hear the word disaster?
I'm sorry, mister. Please turn on your microphone.
Hello. Yes. Can you please type your answer? What comes into your mind when you hear the word disaster? You can interact with me through the Mentimeter. The code is 9984018. Do you have Mentimeter with you?
Yes.
Okay,
Please repeat
everyone,
again.
type your answer.
Please repeat again, sir.
I read it again. What comes into your mind when you hear the word disaster? Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yes, we can see,
Yeah,
but it's better. Please click slideshow, mister.
slides.
Yes. Please turn on your microphone, Dr. Angelito.
Ay, hello, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Can you see my screen, sir, this moment? Can you see the link upstairs
Upstairs.
at the top bottom of the question?
In your PPT?
No, ma'am. I know, sir. In the screen. PPT. Yata yung nakikita nila. Ito yata yung nakikita nila. Okay, anyway, sige.
Maybe you make the full screen, sir. This is not full screen.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Full screen now.
Anyway, sige. Anyway, when you hear the word disaster, you can type na lang your answer. You can type your answer on the chat box so that I can see what comes into your mind when you hear the word disaster on the chat box. Anybody, please join. I say disaster when you see your terror professors walking the corridor. You're trembling in fear. Is that a disaster? Okay.
Okay, for participant, what is disasters? Is there anyone?
Is there anyone? Can you type your answer on the key chat?
Yes, you can type your answer in Zoom group chat. Okay, maybe you can continue, sir, while waiting for the... Yes, this is for... Okay, I will read the answer, Dr. Angelito.
Yes, sir.
I call from Irka Maharani. Disaster is a serious disruption that causes big damage. Okay, thank you, Irka Maharani.
Thank you. So may I proceed? Okay, definition of terms, let's start. Hazard, okay? When you hear the word hazard, it is a dangerous phenomenon or a situation, substance, human activity or condition that may cause a loss of life, injury, or other than health impacts, property damage, loss of livelihood and services, social and economic disruption, or environmental damage. It could be a potentially damaging phenomenon, and it could be a natural or a human induced. Okay, what are those examples? A typhoon. Recently, the Philippines, specifically the Cagayan Valley, experienced a typhoon Ulysses, wherein the whole Cagayan Valley, most 80% of the Cagayan Valley was drawn into a flood. Okay, they were experienced the flood. What else? Extreme rains, torrential rains, okay, non-stop rains, and earthquakes also is a form of hazard. Okay, tsunami. Okay, a tsunami. You're familiar with the tsunami, and floods also. As you can see, that's the actual photo of flood that was experienced here in the Philippines last 2 weeks ago during the Typhoon Ulysses, and a landslide also wherein there is a movement of soil, okay, due to a decreased number of trees, okay, that will absorb the capacity of water. Okay. And rush of seas also is considered as a hazard. Next is, let's define also exposure. So when you say exposure, this is the degree to which the element at risk are likely to experience hazard events of different magnitude. Okay. And next, vulnerability. It is a characteristic and circumstances of a community system or asset that make it susceptible to damaging effects of a hazard. This is may arise from various physical, it can be social, economic, or environmental factors. So vulnerability has been related to the following factors. First, we have social integration. Okay, vulnerability can be defined as the diminished capacity of an individual or group to anticipate, cope with, resist, or recover from the impact of a natural or a man-made hazard. The concept is relative and dynamic. So vulnerability is the most often associated with poverty, but it can also arise when people are isolated, insecure, or defenseless in the face of risk, shock, or stress. People may differ in their exposure risk as a result of social group, gender, ethnic, or other identity, age, other factors. Vulnerability may also vary in forms. Example, poverty, okay, for example, may mean that the housing is unable to withstand the earthquake because of insufficient fund for building that house. Okay, and lack of preparedness may result in a slower response to disaster, leading to a greater loss of life or prolonged suffering. So as you can see, ethnicity, age can be a factor, gender, location of your house. So if the house is built near the river banks, most likely it is prone to flood. If the house is built on alongside with the mountain, and the mountain does not have, or there is insufficient trees that are planted, most likely they are vulnerable to landslide. Education also, lack of education regarding disaster risk may predispose to vulnerability. Status also of the family, the wealth, the income, and the family type. Okay? We have also vulnerability has been related to the following factors also. We have also psychological and physiological factors, such as locus of control, lifestyle, disability also, coping style, individual's perception, agility, mobility, and experience. Okay, so to determine people's vulnerability, two questions need to be asked. So, to what threat or hazard they are vulnerable? Okay, what makes them vulnerable or to threat or to hazard? Okay. In the other side of the coin, capacity is the combination of all strength and resources available within the community, society, or organization that can reduce the level of risk or effects of disaster. So the reverse side of the coin, capacity from vulnerability, which is described as the resources available to individuals, households, and communities to cope with the threat or to resist the impact of hazard, such as resources can be physical or material, but they can be also found in the way a community is organized or in the skills or attributes of individuals and organizations in a community. So capacity, another definition is capacity. It refers to the overall strengths or attributes and resources available within the community, or it can be in an organization or a society, and manage and reduce disaster risk and strengthen your resilience or your ability to cope up with it. It is also a capable and accountable state supported by effective social society and engaged private sectors also is indispensable for a sustainable reduction of disaster risk. So risk is a combination of probability of an event to happen, its negative consequences. So example, so this is the formula for that. So risk is equal to hazard times the vulnerability exposure over capacity. Example, hazard. Your hazard is landslide. Okay? So exposure there is the exposure is exposure is the location, okay, of your house was built on. If that the hazard is landslide, the house is built alongside with the mountain, or okay. So vulnerability, the location, the status also, as I have said, the status of the family. Because here in the Philippines, if your house is located alongside with the mountains, most likely the price of the lot there is less expensive compared to the house which are built in the subdivisions or in a prestigious village. Okay? And the income also has a factor for vulnerability because you don't have the capacity to purchase a lot, okay, or a land that is more or less than vulnerable. And the capacity is the planning. Okay, so that's it. That's it. So risk is equals to the hazard times the vulnerability or exposure over the capacity. So disaster risk. Definition of disaster risk. Disaster risk is defined as the potential loss of life, injury, or destroyed or damaged asset which could occur to a system, society, or a community in a specific period of time, determined probability statistically as function of hazards, exposure, and capacity in a technical sense, it is defined through combination of these three terms, as I have mentioned earlier, the hazard, the exposure, and the vulnerability. Okay, so disaster receipts and remedies. First, let's define first. Disaster is a natural or it can be a man-made, okay, because of negligence, okay? Hazard resulting in an event of substantial extent causing a significant physical damage or destruction, loss of life, or a drastic change to the environment. A disaster can be ostensibly defined as a tragic event stemming from events such as earthquake, it can be floods, or catastrophic events, fires, or explosion. It is a phenomenon or a situation that can cause damage to life and property and destroy the economic, social, and cultural life of the people. In contemporary academia, disasters are seen as a consequence of inappropriately managed risks. These risks are product of a combination of both hazard and vulnerability. So hazard that strike in areas with low vulnerability will never become disaster, as is the case of uninhabited regions. So disaster classification, there are classification of disaster. Okay? So I'm talking as a general, okay? I'm not only talking a disaster in the Philippines, but as a general, okay? So natural a natural disaster is a consequence when a natural hazard affects the human and or built environment. Human vulnerability and lack of appropriate emergency management leads to financial, it can be environmental, or a human impact. In short, a natural disaster, man has no control over it. They do not have control over it. The resulting loss of dependence on the capacity of the population to support or to resist the disaster, their resilience, this understanding is concentrated to the formulation of the support. Of course, and hazard meet vulnerability. A natural hazard will hence never result in a natural disaster in areas without a vulnerability. Example of it, as I mentioned, we do not have control over this, the typhoon, the tornado, drought, or what we call here in the Philippines, El Nino, volcano, earthquake. Those are natural disasters. Man-made or human-induced disasters. When say man-made, these are man-made disasters are the consequence, okay, or a result of our negligence or technological or human hazard. Example include stampedes, okay, and there is a large crowd, okay, and the portal of exit is too limited, okay, and that will result to stampede, fires, transport, accidents, okay. We can individual accidents, oil spills, and nuclear explosions, radiations, okay. War and deliberate attacks may also be put into this category. As with natural hazard, man-made hazards are events that have not happened. For instance, yung terrorism, man-made disaster, example of a specific case where man-made hazard became reality in an event. Example, in stampede, as I mentioned earlier, fires, oil spill, industrial accident, car accident, or nuclear explosion. What is an event and a disaster? At least 20% of the population are affected and in need of emergency assistance, or those dwelling units have been destroyed. A great number, or at least 40% means of livelihood, such as bangkas, fishing boats, vehicles, are destroyed. Okay? Major roads and bridges are destroyed. and it's impossible for at least a week, thus disrupting the flow of transport and commerce. So these are examples of a disaster. Okay, when there is a 20% of the population is affected, that is also already considered a disaster. Okay, or if there are impede of the major roads, you can no longer pass through. That is for a week. That is a disaster. Okay, widespread destruction of fish ponds, crops, poultry, and livestock and other agricultural products. That's also a disaster. Here in the Philippines, we experience this what we call swine flu. Okay, wherein the pigs here, kasi Filipinos are, most of the Filipino are Christian, okay, and they are eating pork. So the pigs here in the Philippines was affected by what we call the swine flu. That is also a disaster. And epidemics also. So why are disaster impacts increased? Why they are increasing? First, increase in population. Okay, the population, our population, when it's more increasing, we are at risk of having this disaster because of negligence, also of the people. The climate change, we are currently experiencing now a climate change here in the Philippines. It is recently the Tuguegarao experienced flood. Okay, previously in history, Tuguegarao has never experienced a flood, but due to climate change, okay, we experienced a flood here in the Philippines, specifically in the Tuguegarao, where St. Paul University is located. Increased vulnerability due to, it can be demographic changes, okay, due to reclamation or due to creating more villages, increased concentration of assets. It can be environmental degradation and also poverty and rapid urbanization or unplanned development of a certain place. Atmospheric hazard include things such as oxygen deficiencies also, dust, chemical vapors, welding fumes, fogs, mists that can interfere with body's ability to transport and utilize oxygen, or that have a negative toxicological effects on our human body. Seismic rating of earthquakes or other vibrations of the earth and its crust. And volcanic eruptions may be subtle or explosive and can produce a dangerous lava flows or poisonous gases and flying rocks and ash. May volcanic eruption also be accompanied by other natural hazards such as earthquakes, landslide, debris flows, flash flood, fires, or tsunamis. So preparedness. As a personal responsibility, our response is make a difference. Okay, so we have to change our attitude. Okay, so I guess we are familiar with that. If we cut trees, we have to change them by planting more trees. And in a simple way, by just throwing our garbage, example, you eat a candy and the candy wrapper is being thrown anywhere, that can clog our drainage system, which will cause flood. That's why being responsible citizen, we can make a difference or to minimize this. Knowing the hazards, we have to know the hazards and doing something to minimize these hazards. Okay. So what if disaster strikes? Okay, what if disaster has struck? What will we do? First, critical concern. Does your institution, okay, have an existing disaster response team or safety or committee? So these are the things that you have to consider. If yes, is it functional? Okay, in your country also. Do we have conduct emergency disaster drills regularly? In the Philippines, we conduct thrice, example for earthquake drill, because we are expecting for the big one. specifically in the capital of Philippines, which is Manila, they are expecting a big one to happen. Okay. Do we have emergency response plan for that? Do we have a preparedness or contingency plan in the event of any disaster? Okay. So here in Sabela or here in Cagayan Valley, we have this what we call contingency plan, wherein if the flood will occur, there is an evacuation center and there is a plan to feed the people who are affected by those landslide or flood that may happen. Are their personal employees trained for first aid or fire or fighting or rescue? Does the institution have any rescue equipment or boat or other emergency paraphernalia? In the Philippines, we borrow other example. Gigaro has experienced massive flooding in their municipality. The other municipality here in the Philippines borrowed a boat, okay, a rescue boat to rescue those people who are submerged with flood. Okay. Do we have an institutionalized warning system? We have. Are you familiar with the dam? Here in the Philippines, also we have this dam wherein if there is the water exceeded to its maximum capacity, the dam will open. Okay, so most likely we will experience floodings here. That's why we have to the dam before they will open it. They have to disseminate a warning system. Okay, are there identified evacuation areas within the premises of your location o kaya your institution? Okay, that's good. So preparedness cycle, as you can see, it's only a cycle wherein first it starts with planning. Always starts with planning. A good planning can result to an organized or equipped people. Then, if they are organized, we can train them. And syempre, most likely, training alone is not sufficient. That's why we have to practice it, to exercise. And after that, we have to evaluate if the training plan has been met. If our goal has been met, we have to evaluate. If not, we have to proceed again with planning, okay? And re-evaluate the whole process. Survival kit, you're familiar with the survival kit. So it contains clothes, okay? Food, clothing, communication, okay? One of the most problem that we experience here in the Philippines, I'm talking for the Philippines, is due to impede or lack of communication, because communication play a vital role in the preparedness of the people here. If there are coming typhoons, we have to prepare. So the pag-asa, what we call pag-asa, we call the weather system here is for the responsible for declaring flood. Typhoon is pag-asa. So communication may be danger if it's will not well communicated. Okay, those documents also, you have to secure your documents, specifically if your place is prone to flash floods. Okay, medicine also, you have to secure that, and other essential needs. Okay, so that is an example of a 24-hour survival kit, and whistle also is being included in that. Okay, so all the basic needs, according to our Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, more on the physical needs is the thing that you have to secure first. And emergency money also. Risk reduction and management. When I say risk reduction and management, it is a systematic process of using administrative decision, organization, operational skills, and capacities to implement policies, strategies, and coping capacities of a society and communities. Okay, setting of related goals and objectives in development, land use areas, and it involves the formulation of strategies and plan, programs, and activities. So that is risk reduction and management. Okay, next. So what must be done to reduce the risk? First, we have to institutionalize local disaster risk reduction and management office. So in every location, in every municipality here in the Philippines, we have what we call local disaster risk management office, wherein they are responsible for disseminating information to the people here. Establish an early warning system. We have to formulate and communicate the protocols. We have to follow protocol, okay? And formulation of evacuation procedures at the community level and establishments. Next, we have to organize local DRRMC, Disaster Risk Reduction Center, and define functional roles and responsibilities of the member and task units. We have to also to establish a standard operating procedure or a protocol. Each municipality here in the Philippines, they have what we call SOPs. Hazard awareness through community-based trainings and seminars, and integrate disaster risk reduction into a comprehensive land use plan, okay, or CLOP, and land use planning. We must also cluster approach on recovery program. And we have also to establish good working relationship with warning agencies or disaster risk, and most likely our local media. They are imperative. Here in the Philippines, kasi Cagayan Valley is located in the north side of the Philippines, where it is from Manila. If the land point is Manila, it will took 15 hours to travel by land. That's why through the local media and effective communication of the social media, the help from the mainland, which is the Manila, poured from the Cagayan Valley, because they experienced a massive flooding during the recent typhoon. Installation of rain gauge on the mountain slopes, okay, specifically if the area or location of area are mountainous, okay, and strengthening the LG or local government units also capabilities on a disaster management. What must done to reduce the risk? Also, updating the hazard profile of all the municipalities and to analyze data on human-induced disaster for public safety studies. Effective flow communication system also is essential to ensure that the accurate flow of information before, during, and after disasters. And also the process of disaster risk reduction. As you can see here, the past events will serve as a lesson for us. Okay, in any country, okay, your past events, example, your location, if there is a history of flooding, most likely that lesson, you will gain a lesson from that phenomenon. Okay, and you may analyze that. You may analyze that from those lessons. You may create an analysis and adapt it, so that if the that circumstances may occur again, you will be able to survive from it. Okay, and you have to adapt from that. Okay, thus disaster risk is reduced. Okay, and vulnerability is maintained. Okay, so they said that our experience and past lessons, okay, are best lessons for us. Next, reduction risk method. In the following order, first, we have to identify, characterize, and assess threats. Okay, we have to identify threats. We have to assess the vulnerability of critical asset and specific threats. We have also to determine the risk, example, the expected consequences of a specific types of attacks or specific assets also. We have to identify ways to reduce those risks. Okay? We have to prioritize reduction measures based on the strategy that we have. Okay, so depending on the seriousness of the hazard, and depending on the vulnerability, okay, of the level. Okay. So potential risk threat treatment. Once risk has been identified and assessed, all techniques and managed to the risk fall into one or more of these four major categories. First, we have to avoidance, eliminate or withdraw from the risk area. We have to next reduction also. We have to optimize resources to mitigate its effect. We have sharing, risk transfer, or enroll in insurance. Are we insured if this risk has occurred? Retention, accept, plan, and formulate a plan to or evacuation plan, okay, depending on the budget of your local government. Disaster risk strategy. When I say disaster risk strategy, it is a comprehensive disaster risk management strategy actively involving stakeholders at all levels of government, as well as the private sector also, local communities, and civil society, is required to implement the legislative framework to provide coordination, monitoring, and arrangement. So in every, here in the Philippines, in every municipality, we have what we call a local government wherein they are comprehensively planned, okay, for and make a legislative framework in response to disaster. Individual disaster risk reduction actions and programs need to be located within the strategy rather than treated as discrete individual measures. Moreover, the strategy needs to indicate specific entry points and mechanism for mainstreaming disaster risk reduction concerns into both broader development agenda and the design and implementation of individual development initiatives. Individual line agencies and local governments are legally responsible for implementing disaster management, as it's still commonly referred into the department circulars and executive orders set by your mayor or who are the leaders of the town or a community within our own areas of responsibility. So these are the risk reduction guiding principles. Institutional, not personality oriented. It should be institutional and not depending on the leader. Permanent solution, not a temporary or a palliative. Okay, example, in making a dike in the flood-prone areas, the solution should be permanent. Preemptive evacuation is better than rescue. If you know that your area is prone to flood, before the flood happen, because we can predict the weather condition, we have to do preemptive evacuation earlier. Okay, so disaster emergency disaster operation center. In here, we have disaster or emergency OPSIN. Okay, you see OPSIN, it is a central command and control facility responsible for carrying the principles and function of a disaster emergency, disaster preparedness, management, and strategic level in emergency situation, ensuring that the continuity of operation of a company, political subdivision, or other organization. An emergency disaster or OPSIN center is responsible for the strategic overview or big picture of a disaster here. They use in varying ways at all levels of government, within private industry or private coordination, direction, control during emergencies. Okay, next. Activation or understanding the colored alert status of disaster warning symbols. Okay, we have here notification. When the disaster occurs, notification is made to all partner agencies or disaster operations center support staff who needs to take action as part of their pre-assigned tasks responsible. Again, I have said communication is the vital for the disaster risk reduction. Okay, so we call it as blue alert or partial activation wherein there is an initial limited or a post-red alert scaled down operational condition or disaster operations center. All field personnel go on standby, assets, preposition for easy deployment. So when it's blue alert, we have to stand by and be alert for deployment. Red alert, full action. When their status is on red alert, all primary and secondary support agencies of the CDRMMC or Disaster Reduction Management Center are on active status or call, manning respective stations along with the DOC staff while directing, coordinating the personal assets within 24 hours basis during an ongoing event. The activation, okay, the DOT chief may also be directed by the chief executive or action officer to deactivate the alert status and return into a normal operation after a certain disaster. White monitoring within 24 hours or 24/7 monitoring of the disaster risk. Situational issues to consider. First, in any major situation, there are three critical issues that usually arise, namely yung time constraint, enormous need, and coordination. Those are the three vital things that we have to consider. Time constraint. Warn people, okay? We have to warn people, evacuate the people, save lives also, casualties, to minimize casualties, injured or dead, okay, or missing, impending hazards, utility shutdown, or lotters or others, okay? Next, coordination. What we're going to coordinate, always remember the what, where, when, who, and how, okay, in coordination. Next, incident reporting. What to do, okay? Who, we have to identify. What, identify the nature or call, okay? Or where, the exact address or location. When, state the exact time and the date. And how additional information may be relevant, okay? After a call, always do a verification, okay? So, incident profiling. The incident profile, what? Okay, type of incident you have to place there. When, date and time of occurrence of it. Where, estimated location. Why, probable cause of the incident. And who, okay, probable cause of the incident. And how, again, a probable cause of the incident. Okay, before I end, let me quote a word by Michael Maddy. Okay, saying, we are not preparing for the world we live in. We are preparing for the world we find ourselves in. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us with really interesting topic. Thank you, Dr. Angelito. Okay, for participant, we on it is time for question and answer session. You can type your question in the Zoom group chat, or you can directly ask to speakers. We turn on your microphone and your video also. Okay. Is there anyone would like to ask directly to Dr. Angelito? Hello, everyone. Before I read the question in Zoom group chat, okay. For the first, I would like to say hello to Risma. Hello, Risma Nur Rahma.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. Please ask your question directly to Dr. Angelito.
Okay. Good morning, sir. I'm Risma from grade 3B. Okay, the level of knowledge of the Indonesian community regarding disaster is still lacking. And when a disaster occurs, they will tend to panic and just wait for help from the rescue team. So, when in the phase of waiting for help, can we help them independently with only the knowledge we have? And then, what do we need to pay attention when helping others? So, the survivor and us are safety. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Angelito,
Yes.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
This question.
Can you, there's interruption of the signal. Can you highlight your questions, ma'am? What is the main question?
Okay, this question is, when in the phase of waiting for help, can we
Yeah.
help them independently with only the knowledge we have? And the second question, then then what do we need to pay attention with helping others so the survivor and us are safety? So I have
Yeah.
two questions.
Okay, the first question is, we can have actually it independently. Actually, we cannot have it independently because we have to work collaboratively with our disaster risk reduction management team for us to minimize those risks. Okay. And the second question is, I'm just reading for the chat box. That's why.
So, how do you think, Risma?
And the second question, what do we need to pay attention when helping others so the survivor and us are safety?
Okay. Actually, we have to consider first ourselves kasi we cannot help others if we do not help first ourselves, ma'am. Example, we have to consider, you have to consider your situation first before you can help others. Example, here in the Philippines, due to flooding, there are rescue teams, okay? Okay, so as a rescuer, you have to consider if the place is safe also. Example, there is they forget to turn off the generator. Are you familiar with the generator? Okay, the generator, it supplies power and electricity. So the rescuer accidentally tawag nito, got burned from the generator. Okay, or electric shock from the generator. So first, you have to consider first the location. Or is it safe to start a rescue? Something like that, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Risma. For the second question from Ahmad Dwi. Hello, Ahmad Dwi. Please respond my voice. Hello. Are you there, Ahmad Dwi? Please turn on your microphone and video.
Pak Andi, I think Ahmad cannot unmute his microphone because there's so noisy in Ahmad's place.
Okay. It's okay. I will
So
read.
please help. Yep.
Yes, I will read it. Okay, Dr. Angelito, this question from Ahmad Dwi. Yes, you want to ask about the part of when is an event, a disaster number one as an example. For example, tornado happens in Florida. What if the population effect didn't hit 20% like just 8% population, but the effect was very bad and the units have been destroyed? Can we still call disaster? For the second question, is the treatment and how we confront going the same like disaster as usual? Thank you. Did you got the point, Dr. Angelito?
Yeah. I'm reading his question.
Okay.
Disaster number one, example of tornado happened in Florida. Okay. What if population are affected hit 20% like 8% of the population? Okay. Okay, if the population does not hit 20%, as I mentioned during my previous lecture, it's not considered a disaster, okay? If it does not hit 20% of the total population. How we can control the same like disaster as usual? Okay. Actually, tornado, we cannot control the disaster. Example, a tornado, because it is not a man-made disaster. Okay, so what we can do is to stay safe during the hit of the tornado.
Okay, that's all, Doctor.
Yes, that's all, sir.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I think Ahmad Dhani got the answer. For the next question from Cecile Meirinda. Hello, Cecile, please turn on your microphone and video.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
You can ask directly
Yes.
to Dr. Angelito. Please turn on your video. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I'm Cecil. I want to ask about how do we convey to the public about the importance of preparing a survival kit? Because as I know, most of us feel panic and prefer to save ourselves immediately without preparation or carrying anything when a disaster occurs. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's a nice question. Preparing for a survival kit. Actually, as a normal response, we as humans, actually, we always think first of ourselves rather than our things that we have to carry on along with us. Okay, but still, the first reaction that a person or any human being should bear in mind is to stay calm during the heat of a disaster or the occurrence of a disaster. We have to stay calm, diba? When, example, we have our drill, earthquake drill, first instruction there is stay calm and do not panic, okay? We have also experienced here in the Philippines. Did you experience in your place where when the hit, there is a pandemic now, there is the sudden announcement for lockdowns? People here in the Philippines also are panicking, okay? They tend to hoard mass, alcohol, okay? Because of the fear that they will get infected, okay? So again, number one is the first thing that we have to bear in mind is stay calm, okay, during any disaster, so that if you are in calm manner, you can think well, a most strategic way on how to deal with it. Did I satisfy your answer, ma'am?
Yes,
Thank
Cecile.
you, sir. Yes, thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So many questions, Dr. Angelito.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, Doctor. Yes,
Yeah, it's
because
okay.
we have 20 minutes ahead, Doctor. Okay, for the next question from Ratna Putri. Yes, Ratna Putri, please turn on your video and your microphone. Hello, Ratna. Are you hearing me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not unmuted. So
Okay.
it's clear now?
Question.
Okay, so I believe that education in disaster management also play a big role in minimize the disaster damage. So as far as I know, that Japan and also Philippines include disaster mitigation materials in their school curricula. So do you think that disaster mitigation materials curricula is very urgent? Because Indonesia is also prone of disaster risk. So I think the government still not considering that disaster management curricula is not important to apply in our school. And then so the next question is, to what extent have the impacts or change occurred on students or community behavior dealing with disaster. And then to fulfill our role as educator, as a nurse, what are the key of success factors that we need to pay attention in giving disaster mitigation education? Thank you.
Wow.
Wow, thank you for that very nice question. I'm going to answer it one by one. Your first question is, do you think that disaster mitigation material in the school curricula is very urgent matter? I will be talking in the curricula of the Philippine setting. Here in the Philippines, we integrate in our curriculum in the senior high school the disaster risk reduction management course, wherein we have to educate the the students first. Okay, we have to educate them on how to respond on certain disaster. Okay, we do also what we call aside from integrating it in the curriculum, we do also what we call drill, fire drill, earthquake drill, a simultaneous drill nationwide in the Philippines. Okay, thrice a year. Okay, kasi having a knowledge or background on proper way on how to deal with disaster will save us or minimize the casualties that may occur during the hit of those disasters. Next question. To what extent have the impacts or changes occurred on student or community behavior dealing with disaster? Actually, this is a nice research also that we have to do here in the Philippines. Okay, there are only 40%, okay, during according to a research that I have read, 40% of the people has has the DRRM impact them. Okay, still they are still many people are not prepared for a disaster. I'm talking also for our experience here in Isabela, wherein recently we have experienced a flood here, and we do not expect that to happen, specifically in the Tugigaraw, wherein from the previous years it does not occur. Okay, but we all astonished and shocked that the flood, there is a non-stop rain causes a flood. Okay, then your last question. And then to fulfill as a role of an educator, what are the key of success factors that we need to pay attention in giving disaster mitigation and education? Okay, actually the key factor here that we can make as a variable is the number of casualties. If there is this number of casualties, most likely the people are prepared. Okay, or decrease okay, number of casualties that occur during a disaster. Did I satisfy your question, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ratna Putri, for your question. Okay, we jump to the next question, Dr. Angelito. This question from Sabrina Fadila. Okay, hello, Sabrina.
Okay, hello, sir.
Yes, please turn on your microphone and video.
Sorry, I had a bad network here, so I can turn on my video.
Okay, it's okay. You can ask directly to Dr. Angelito, please.
Okay, my question is, how do we assess a disaster? Because disasters are so suddenly happens and we are not ready for it. So how do we assess a disaster?
Okay. I have presented a while ago the formula on how to assess a disaster, or even though it is an abrupt. Let me show it to you. Wait a minute. And a recap. Okay, that's it. Wait. For a moment, please. Okay. So again, because disaster is abrupt situation, we have to first assess first using this formula. Risk is equal to hazard times vulnerability over the capacity. Again, as I've said, your hazard example is a landslide. Okay, your place is prone to landslide. Okay, so exposure, meaning your vulnerability, we have to assess your location. Okay, we have to assess also the status of the people living there in a certain community and their source of income. Okay, and their capacity. If they are not more educated, most likely their capacity to plan is poor. Okay, that will result to risk. Yes. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Sabrina, for your question.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yes. Yes, for the next question from Ersa Fajar Utami. Okay, hello, Ersa. Please, your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Is it my voice sounds clearly?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay. Thank you. My question is, what can we do as a nurse, especially to reduce the risk of disaster around us? And is there any role of nursing that we use at that point to reduce the risk of the disaster? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. As a nurse, we are not only being contained in the hospital or a clinical setting. Our role also is to educate people. The education may reduce the risk of those disaster. Okay, as a nurse, example, we are assigned in a community. We have to educate our people, even in a simple way. Example of throwing wrapper of candies. Okay, in a simple way of throwing garbage, in a simple way of not using CFC or chlorofluorocarbon products or aircon, okay? Because that will contribute to the destruction of our ozone layer and most likely contribute also for climate change, okay? So education is vital. As a nurse, we can educate our community people in a simple way. Okay. Did I also answer your query, ma'am?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
okay, thank you, Ersa, for your question.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone would like to directly ask for Dr. Angelito? Because in the group chat, the question is finished.
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sirka.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Angelito.
Yes, please introduce yourself first.
Yeah, I'm Irka, and I'm excited with your statement before regarding with the previous questions about giving educations to people or society. What can we do if like the people still stay with their own beliefs, or what is it like? Because there is like a myth or what is it? What I say in English? Yeah, they believe with their own belief, so they don't believe with the nurse or with what we say. When we educate people or society how to reduce the disaster risk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's really tough to deal with beliefs. Okay, we cannot just force any belief to a certain group of people or a certain people. Okay, and as a nurse also we have to pay respect from their belief. The thing there is we have to educate them. If they do not accept our beliefs or our education that or the things that we have said to them, still they have the what we call the right or capacity to decide on their own. Basta as the role of the nurse there is to educate only. We do not have the right or the power to insist or to oblige them to follow us. Okay, so that's it.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Angelito.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rika, for your question.
Decision of a nurse to instill, okay, to insist for them to follow.
Okay. Okay, yes. Thank you very much for sharing, Dr. Angelito, with the important topic today. I think because the time is very limited and our discussion to end here. Before that, I would like to summarize this webinar. With well prepare and good management, with well prepared and good management in disaster, we can avoid big impact that resulted from disaster. For the next, as moderator, I apologize if I have mistakes during this webinar. For the last, I return this webinar to MC. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I say thank you very much for sharing with us, Mr. Dr. Angelito E. Alvarado, as the speaker today. It was an extraordinary material. And also, thank you very much, our moderator, Mr. Andy. Well, that's wrap up our event today. And so again, the announcement to all audience, the evaluation form has been available in room chat Zoom or the YouTube. Okay, the next might be from the lecture of the Diploma 3 Nursing Study Program will give a taking or something for our speaker today. So I think Mr. Tri Yahyo, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Devi. Hello, good morning, the Honorable Mr. Angelito, all lecture, student, and all participants. I am Tri Cahyo. Mr. Angelito, thank you for your time to be a speaker of this webinar and give plenty new knowledge for the student. We are very glad to have you here as the speaker today. I hope you don't mind if we invite you again for being the speaker in the future. I hope my student can be as great as you and they can be motivated to increase knowledge, especially about disaster management, because it's very important for their future. One more, thank you so much, Mr. Angelito. We welcome you to come to Blitar someday if the COVID pandemic is over. And thank you to all lecture, students, and all participants. See you next time and goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Tri Cahyo. And the next agenda is praying led by Faisal Agus Mustafa. So Faisal, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Marilah sejenak kita tundukkan dan renungkan waktu kita untuk berdoa dan meminta kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala agar apa yang kita lakukan dalam kegiatan hari ini dapat diridhoi oleh Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Sebelumnya, doa ini akan saya pimpin secara Islami. Yang beragama selain Islam dimohon menyesuaikan. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan li'aqini amahu wa yukafi mazida. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu. Kami yang bagi jalal wajibal karimi wa adimi sultan. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami. Dengan mengucapkan puji serta syukur kehadirat-Mu, hingga tiada henti-hentinya kami memuji kebesaran dan keagungan-Mu. Atas segala rahmat dan karunia yang telah Engkau limpahkan kepada kami pada hari ini, dengan penuh keakraban dan bahagia. Kami hadir di sini kiranya Engkau memberikan barokah dan ridho-Mu dalam acara yang kami laksanakan ini. Ya Allah, Ya Muhaimin, Ya Salam, Ya Tuhan kami. Dengan webinar KSR dengan tema Disaster Risk Reduction and Management yang bermakna bagi kami, terutama menjalin hubungan silaturahim antar sama manusia, makhluk terbaik yang telah Engkau ciptakan dari semua makhluk ciptaan, ya Rabb. Engkau hadirkan kami di sini, tidak lain hanyalah untuk meningkatkan kompetensi kami. Untuk itu, ya Allah, tanamkan sifat Rahman dan Rahim kepada kami, agar kami mendapatkan ilmu yang bermanfaat pada hari ini. Allahumma ya Qudus ya Salam, ya Allah, penentu masa depan. Masa depan adalah milik generasi penerus kami. Jadikan kami sebagai generasi yang beriman dan bertakwa, hormat kepada orang tua dan para pendahulu, generasi yang berkualitas agar dapat membawa bangsa dan negara ini ke tingkat kemajuan yang kami cita-citakan. Tiada harapan dan dambaan kami melainkan mengharap barokah dan ridho selalu menyertai kami. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Arsyul Azim, ya Tuhan kami. Dengan telah berakhirnya kegiatan ini, kiranya ya Allah, Engkau dapat melimpahkan pengetahuan dan kekuatan kepada kami semua, dan Engkau tumbuhkan rasa persaudaraan, persatuan yang kokoh di antara kami, terjalin dengan baik dan utuh. Ya Allah, Tuhan kami, Engkaulah Sang Maha Pengampun. Ampunilah dosa dan kesalahan kami, dosa pemimpin kami, serta dosa dan kesalahan kedua orang tua kami. Perkenankanlah doa dan pinta kami ini. Ya Allah, hanya kepadamu kami menyembah dan mohon pertolongan. Kabulkanlah doa kami. Ya Allah, hanya kepadamu kami melakukan pengabdian dan hanya kepadamu kami mohon pertolongan. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, I say thank you for Faisal Agus Mustafa. So before we finish our activity, there will be a documentation session. At least for all the participants to turn on the camera right now. So, documentation team, time is yours. Okay, the slide 1. The slide 2. The slide 3. The slide 4. The slide 5. And the slide 6. Okay. The slide 1. Slide 2. Slide 3. Okay. The documentation finished. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we talk all the event today. So I, as a host personality, I would like to say sorry if there are mistakes. And also I say thank you very much for your participation in this program. So now we close this activity with Recis Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. For this announcement, this program has the benefit to get a certificate. So for the participant who want to get a certificate, must complete the attendance and evaluation form. Ladies and gentlemen, now all the program has been ended. So I, as MC today, I do apologize for any mistake. See you, and the last I say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Arna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Angelito.
you.
Thank you,
Miss.
Mr.
Thank you, Sir Try.
Thank you, Mr. Angelito. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Angelito. See you next time.
See you
Bye
next
bye.
Thank you, Ma'am Wiwin.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't join all of this activity because there is activity, another activities.
Thank you, Mr. Andi, as the moderator.
Terima kasih Mas Andi, terima kasih panitia semuanya. Terima kasih Pak Tri yang sudah mengawal kegiatan sampai selesai. Semoga sehat-sehat semuanya.
Terima kasih Mas Andi, terima kasih Mbak Dewi, terima kasih seluruh panitia. Thank you for Mr. Angelito.
Okay, Doctor, maybe you can leaving this room. Is okay. Halo, Dr. Angelito.
Oke, udah keluar.
Udah keluar.
Wah, oke. Makasih Mas Andi ya. Terima kasih kepada seluruh panitia dan seluruh partisipan. Oke, terima kasih Miss Irka.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Tri.
Oke.
Tutup aja bareng-bareng.
Oke, siap.
Ya, terima kasih
Oke,
semuanya.
sampai ketemu.